Thank you, sir. I request the participants to fill the feedback link. Request you all to please be back in next 5 minutes for panel discussion. Welcome to panel discussion. Instruction to participants: kindly mute your audio and video. Participants need to be present for the entire session. Participants can post their queries in chat box by the end of the session. A feedback form will be shared during the session in the chat box. It should be submitted by the end of each session. If you leave the session without filling the form, the certificate won't be issued. Participants will receive the certificate within 15 days of conference. Now we are starting with a panel discussion on global business opportunities and challenges. I now request Dr. Ani Arnav to introduce the panel moderator and panel speakers.
Now I take the honor of introducing our panel moderator. Today, we have Mr. Bradley Emerson as the moderator for the panel discussion. Mr. Bradley Emerson is an ambitious individual with a proven track record of local, overseas, of transformational leadership capabilities and strategizing businesses with master degree in business administration, University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, fellow of the Institute of Bankers, Sri Lanka, Advanced Diploma in Management Accounting, CIMA, UK. Is member of the National Education Reform Commission 2014-2015 and the national think tank formulated under the Ministry of Finance 2015. Mr. Bradley was chief examiner for the subject bank marketing for the CBF and ACBF levels of examinations in 2001 and 2, conducted by Institute of Bankers of Sri Lanka. He lectured on business management for diploma in marketing at the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing in 2001, visiting lecturer faculty at Postgraduate Institute of Management affiliated to the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura for MBA, Banking and Finance, Comsat University, Lahore, Pakistan, and the University of Kelaniya, Sri Lanka. 10-minute management talks on Learn TV in Sri Lanka, YouTube Tips in 10 with Bradley Emerson. He was opening speaker at CIMA Business Leaders Summit, Colombo and Karachi, and keynote speaker at SAICON Islamabad 2014, 2015, and 2016. Worked as Deputy Chief Executive Officer, Pan Asia Bank PLC, Regional Director, Middle East, South Asia, and North Africa region. The Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, UK, COO, Public-Private Partnership Unit, Ministry of Finance, Sri Lanka. He has been awarded with the Achievers Award, Postgraduate Institute of Management, Professional Association in April 2004. He was judged as one of the 7 bank's notable contributors for 1997 at Commercial Bank, examiner at Sri Lanka Standards Institute for the National Quality Award Program for 1996 to 1998. He has been appointed at judging panels of MTI Consulting for MTI Venture Startup Challenge and Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing for SLIM Brand Excellence Awards, chairman of the judging panel for 10 Young Outstanding Persons 2013, conducted by Sri Lanka JAIS. He has published book on Role, a Diagnostic Approach to Performance through Author House UK, Finding Nemo, an article on finding talent, slow and steady, no longer wins the race, and Redefine and Recreate the Sri Lanka Tourism Brand was published on the Daily FT. I wish a hearty welcome to Mr. Bradley Emerson. Welcome to the conference, sir. Now, I would like to introduce the panel members. We have Mr. Girish Kamath. Mr. Girish Kamath is Vice President and Managing Director, India at Scientific Games, Bangalore, India. He manages large distributed technology teams across Chennai, Bangalore, and Pune, which are focused on the company's gaming, digital, lottery, and social businesses. Girish sir is a seasoned engineering and strategy leader with over 23 plus years of diverse experience in leadership, mentorship, and organizational development roles in the IT industry. Beyond his role is a Six Sigma Black Belt, which makes him passionate about metrics and continuous business process improvements. He holds a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronics engineering from University of Mysore. He joined Scientific Games in May 2010 with proficiency in managing varied businesses, technologies, and solutions delivery. He was initially responsible for the delivery and growing business in companies' key markets across South Africa. Through his career, Girish sir held key leadership roles with global responsibilities in the IT industry. Prior to joining Scientific Games, he served as a director for Kane India, a leading IT services provider, where he led R&D projects for multiple telecom customers in Europe and North America. I wish a hearty welcome to you, sir. Mr. Shirish Kulkarni, the next panel speaker, is the founder and CEO at Stota Consultech, Pune, India, and director at Dynelec Controls Private Limited, a manufacturing company with more than 25 years of work experiences, completed Executive General Management Program, IIM, Bangalore, and Master of Engineering, a certified PMP, Scrum Master, and from ITIL Foundation. He also worked with the Tata Consulting Engineers, Design Consultancy, KSP Pumps, Pump Manufacturing Company, Telco, Tata Motors, TTIL, Car Truck, manufacturing company, PTC, R&D, CAD, CAM, PLM, product company, BMC Software, Business Services Management, product company, Geometrics Limited, PLM Services Company, Tata Consultancy Services, IT Consulting Solutions and Services Company. During his professional careers, he has completed business growth analysis of more than 140 SMB businesses, grown Dynalec Controls top line by 270%, worked with global companies with senior leadership roles. I wish you a hearty welcome to you, sir. The next panel speaker is Ms. Najat Rizk. She is the co-founder and CEO of at AQR MENA and Alizima Media, UAE. She is a strategic communications and media advisory firm specialized in institutional and corporate transformational communication, creative content development, content management, and content monetization. Al Azima Media is the exclusive partner of AQR International for the mental toughness and leadership programs across the Middle East. AQR MENA is a leader in the assessments and programs on mental toughness and integrated leadership. Najat Rizk is a winner of Harvard's Michael Porter A11 AII World Program Award for the fastest growing company and as the highest intensity serial women entrepreneur for 2 consecutive years. In 2019, she received the Exceptional Women of Excellence Award from the Women Economic Forum for her achievements as an entrepreneur. Najat has also received awards from the Lebanese Media Foundation in 2019 and Pioneers from Lebanon 2019 in recognition of her achievements in the media industry. She is a member of renowned international media platforms, including the International Emmy Jury. Najat is a media and communication pioneer based in the Middle East, and her story began 20 years ago with the establishment of the region's first documentary production company, Firehorse. At a young age, she was interested to launch and manage the top 2 television stations in the Middle East, Orbit, A1, Tanya, and LBC Sat. Since 1999, Najat has been a partner and CEO of Firehorse, where she led a large team of media producers and communication experts in designing and delivering quality, award-winning television programs. She is the founder and CEO of TRIARC, a stock footage licensing platform representing videos from the Middle East. Najat is a founding partner of Beyond Reform and Development, a social enterprise specializing in policy, public management, and capacity development across the Arab world. Najat has transformed her unique experience into signature educational programs for youth and women in Lebanon and the Arab world. She has designed training programs and courses for Columbia University, the American University of Beirut, St. Joseph University, as well as for multiple international donors such as UNDP, the European Union, and USAID. For the past 15 years, she has coached and mentored senior executives and trained a large number of public and private institutions in Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Lebanon, Morocco, Tunis, and Turkey. So the next panel member is Dr. Sudesh Prabhakaran. Sir is professor at Binary University, Malaysia, is a professor at Binary University and has served the university for the past 20 years. Professor Dr. Sudesh Sir is currently a member of the top management of Binary University and holds the portfolio of Head of Quality Assurance. He is also the CEO of the Binary College, which is owned by Binary University. He has also served as the Dean of the School of Business Management in Binary University. During his tenure as the Dean, the business school has obtained a 6-star rating from the Ministry of Higher Education. He was conferred the professorship in 2019 by Binary University. His job scope also requires him to work with Ministry of Higher Education, Malaysia, and the Malaysian Qualifying Agency for numerous approvals. He is currently carrying out research in the field of entrepreneurship, sustainable marketing, social tourism, marketing, and waste mitigation. Dr. Sudesh is an affiliate member of the Chartered Management Institute, is the internal auditor for the Malaysian Ministry of Education's Research Instrument, and is a certified trainer by the Ministry of Human Resources Malaysia. Is a member of the editing committee of the International Journal of Management and Entrepreneurship, published by Binary University. Is also presented papers at numerous conferences and has many index publications under his name. His main aim is to empower the community with proper entrepreneurial mindsets and environmental values, which will benefit them in terms of profit, at the same time manage the natural environment responsibly and sustainably. I wish you a very hearty welcome, sir. So we have one more speaker for today. Probably he will be joining in a few minutes. We have Mr. Cole Sirusek. Is a co-founder and CEO at DocTalk Singapore, a world's first patient intelligence company. He's also a managing director of Founders Equity Partners, supporting entrepreneurial ventures. So he has served as an independent member of the board of directors for Global Eagle Acquisition Corp, $190 million and NASDAQ listed SPAC focused on the media and entertainment industry. Mr. Cole spent 7 years in the direct investment team of Temasek Holdings. In this capacity, he sourced, executed, and monitored investments on a global basis in the firm's telecommunications, media, and technology group. He has successfully invested over $500 million in private equity direct and secondary transactions. Before Temasek, he was the co-founder and executive vice president of Pluto Networks, a wireless data networking company. He has formerly held executive positions in Hawaii state government and has worked as a technology venture, capitalist and strategy business consultant. Mr. Kolsar has received numerous recognitions to include Asia's 100 Greatest Leaders, the 30 Most Inspiring Entrepreneurs of Asia, the 30 Best Entrepreneurs to Look For in 2018, and moreover, he is regularly invited to reputed conferences to speak about innovation in healthcare, technology, and health insurance. He has attended MIT, Sloan School of Management, Master of Business Administration, and Harvard's Kennedy School of Government for Masters in Public Administration, and also completed self-supported 250-kilometer foot races across China's Gobi Desert and Egypt's Sahara Desert to fund medical missions in Asia. A hearty welcome to him also on this occasion. So now let us start with the discussion without any delay. Over to the moderator, Mr. Bradley Emerson.
Thank you very much, Dr. Andy. And it's an absolute honor. Thanks for JN University to bring me in. Having listened to such colorful description of the people in the panel, I think I feel very humble to be able to moderate this. Getting things started, and just a couple of comments, and the recent reports that was released by UNCTAD states that COVID-19 has done the damage. That was the heading of the report. And it says it has pushed the global economy into more severe recession since the Second World War, causing a broad set of synchronized recessions across the world since the Great Recession in 1870. Now, that being said, how do we face the challenges? Humanity has survived through crisis. We have prevailed through crisis. It is only through crisis we find both challenges and opportunities. And it is crisis that brings out a catalyst. And today in our panel, we have 5 such catalysts. And as the word goes, I would start with the ladies first. Najat Rizk, I'm sorry I'm putting it on a spot, but then I'm sure you've been in media. This is nothing unusual for you. So on behalf of all of us, Jain University and the fellow panelists, it's my pleasure to welcome you to make your first few observations about the topic of how do we face the future in the new normal, post-COVID, and what are your thoughts on challenges and opportunities that you foresee from your part of the world? Over to you.
Thank you very much. First, for having me among this, esteemed gentlemen, and thank you as well for this opportunity for me to be, a speaker and share some of my thoughts and experiences in this part of the world, the Arab world. Definitely COVID-19 has been, a very unusual times that we all faced, and we have never ever faced such, challenges and crises. And it is truly on a global level. It's not particular to any country. And I come from Lebanon. So we are, we were raised to face any challenges, that comes our way, living in a very turbulent area. But this particular crisis has put every single person on the face of the earth at an equal, level. What did I do? So I can share my own experience and at the same time, maybe extrapolate to other people. When we face, major crisis, and specifically being an entrepreneur and a serial entrepreneur, you have to come back to the essential. We are part of several circles around us, but once we are forced to become under one particular circle, this is where we need to dive deep into the first circle of influence that we can actually create around us, right? So basically, it's us first. How do you face this challenge? How do you face this time of crisis? How do you face the uncertainty? And because right now, we used to plan any business for 3 years, 5 years to come, I cannot even plan, 1 month ahead. So how will I actually work on the mindset? And this is what I mean by the first circle, my own mindset as a businesswoman. That was the major challenge, is to adapt and adopt, to different mindset. First is to be able to say, okay, fine, disruption is happening everywhere, and disruption is happening in my own field, So I had to leave Lebanon in order to be able to start from scratch out of Lebanon because of not only COVID-19, but the economic crisis in Lebanon. So basically, the mindset is first and foremost, the most important part is we need to be able to focus on our mental toughness, hence the program that I represent in the Middle East. And it's not by chance that I chose to be focusing on this particular program. And Al-Azima Media, which is in Arabic, meaning the mental toughness in English, plus perseverance, passion, determination. So basically, mindset is number one. And this is how I succeeded in, it's still a work in progress, right? This is not something that is complete. The mindset is very important part of how we face every single challenge that we have, right? Second is to be able to recreate ourselves. So it's not something that any business can continue on doing like business as usual. How do we recreate our space, our work, our team working? My goodness, working remotely from home, what a great disruption for every single company. Right? I'm used to go into an office, brainstorming, talking to people, networking on calls, sitting with people, creating stuff, right now we are faced to do this. This will become and is right now the new normal. So we need to adapt every single business, being a product-based business or a service-based business, on this new tool and medium. So this is as well part of the adaptation and how we adopt these new tools in order to recreate our space and our work. So these are, they come along all together. And the learning process, I really focus on as an entrepreneur, and how do we face any times of crisis, is we need to be able to be the eternal learner and continuous learner. We cannot stop but learn new things, right? And we need to learn in order to actually face all these challenges and recreate ourselves and continue. In some cases, we strive, in other cases, we thrive, and maybe in some cases, we fail, right? Not every single endeavor is successful, but it is the continuous learning. So I think I will stop here. Thank you.
So I would like to interrupt here. We have Mr. Cole Serusek from Doc. So I welcome you, sir, to the conference and the panel discussion. Thank you so much for joining. Over to you, sir. Bradley, sir.
Thank you, Najat. Thanks for that piece of thought as an opener. And you did mention something which was really critical. You said about these comfort zones. I think that's the new comfort zone in the way we are facing crisis. You also said something very, very important for most of the corporates to understand. The short term is the new long term. And that is where we are going from that. And also you brought about mental toughness. I remember in one of those Rambo movies, Sylvester Stallone saying, mind is the best weapon. That being said, I would now invite Professor Dr. Sud to bring forward his thoughts, take about 6 to 7 minutes on the topic of current opportunities. I want to bring the word opportunities first, and the challenges of achieving those opportunities. Over to you, sir.
Hi. Right. Okay. It's a new norm. So, every time it is being, you're muted. So I had to, look at it. Anyway, there's a lot of opportunities, actually, if you look at the current world. And I think the main idea is those in the technology field, because right now, most of the opportunities are open up in the technology field rather than the manufacturing and so on to become an FDI. But when you look at it personally, just to touch a thing that I was reading a few weeks ago, India's FDI on the digital economy has increased by 13%, whereas every other country's FDI was actually going down. So that actually gives that what do you call that, the new norm of everything being in the technology point of view, where if the skies were open right now, all of us will be in one platform, which is the stage in Jain University, giving this discussion. But we are all in different part of the world, because I think some of us are in Singapore, some of us are in UAE, and we all get together. And what it shows is that we have economically spent too much money trying to be face-to-face rather than doing this a long time ago. Some examples would be companies like Zoom and all these things it was not used to get those people to meet each another, whereas we actually fly to one place to another place. Obviously, that's another industry by itself, which is the aviation industry. So my thought of opportunities would be mainly on the what do you call that, technologies which people actually can spend more time focusing on. And especially in the education industry, if you look at it, it has become totally, what do you say, technology based, because there are countries who do actually not recognize online learning, now being forced to do online learning, where many people, they're sitting in their house in the comfort of their house. But I'm not sure how to say important it is in the sense of how they can adapt these things. But because earlier, I think Ms. Najat said is about adaptation. So adapting to this new norm is a little bit difficult when it comes to running classrooms and so on, in the sense of all the Zoom classrooms, Google Meets, and so on. So it is not only start in the universities, because if you see there was only online universities, we also gone to schools. So this is the and a lot of technology companies which was not making much money in the investment part of it, was making billions of dollars during this COVID. Compare recently to those who are in the manufacturing, agriculture, and so on. I think which are badly hit. Another thing to look at is the what do you call that, inputs in the sense of the sophistication of business, where a lot of business who actually have a certain level of sophistication has become very important in today's world. So this is my views on how it can actually improve, the opportunities which are there in this part of the COVID line.
Dr. Sudesh, thank you very much. You brought in a very interesting phenomenon of FDIs. Now, FDIs from 2019, which was around $1.5 trillion, has dropped to about $859 billion in 2020, and it is expected to go down. But having said that, it's very interesting to see that they predict in 2021, even the developing countries would still get the lion's share. And you mentioned about India, and India is expected to be the larger contributor to Europe. And they are expecting nearly 80% of European IT companies are targeted to be acquired by Indian companies. And what, this is again a World Bank report I'm looking at. What is interesting is that Turkey has come to the light of digital business. It was never there.
Yeah, it's
and
never there.
If you look at the plan for South Africa to invest in the health sector, so where are the opportunities going to be? In the digital sector, in the IT consulting, and the health sector? That's where the opportunities are going to come in the new world that we are facing. So thank you very much for the thoughts. Can I now please invite Dr. Girish Kamath to share his views on opportunities and challenges? You're on mute, Doctor. So we can't hear you yet. Yeah, until we sort Dr. Girish's sound out, can we move to Dr. Cole to explain his thoughts about the topics that have been discussed, opportunities and challenges in the future? Dr. Cole, over to you.
Sure. So thank you guys all very much for having me here. And I see that there's over 325 people on this call. So it'd be lovely to see if we get it more interactive. I'd love to hear from students. I always find students to be such wonderful people because they're at a stage in life where they haven't been spoiled. And what I'd like to share with you guys is relevant to COVID, but not isolated by COVID. And I guess it talks a little bit about mental resistance and grit, but a couple of ideas that I wish that I would have known as a student as they pertain to life and the way life actually unfolds. And COVID plays right into this. So the two things that are really, really going to be rare in your career are inspiration, people that inspire you, and opportunity, like the actual ability to get a hold of something that really, really you're inspired to make the world a better place because of. There's going to be there's going to be a ton of people around you that are talented. There's going to be a ton of bosses and managers, but there's going to be a real shortage of people that inspire you. And there's going to be a real shortage of opportunity in your life. Unless you're very rare, this is the thing that I've found more than anything else. And so as you're looking at COVID and you're looking at the transitions that are inevitably happening because of it, don't be afraid to step out and do your own thing. Don't be afraid to trust your instincts and take risks, because the more you take risks, the more, when you're young, the more you'll find that the downside is far less than you actually imagined in school. And the more you'll find that, hey, I took that risk and that didn't work out, so I'll take the next one. And that didn't work out and I take the next one. And you kind of start, when you start stumbling through life that way, you'll find that you find your purpose. And I think that's really what this is all about. You get an education to help you find purpose in life. And so COVID, fine. It's a pandemic. It's not a very lethal one. It scared everybody to death, but we're kind of past it now. It's now time to look forward and go around it. And time to kind of get moving on through it. So yeah, I'm open to ideas and discussions about any of these topics: entrepreneurship, technology. I think that COVID is what's going to happen with artificial intelligence and virtualization and robotics over the next 5 years are going to be a far larger impact than anything anybody actually understands. The inversion of the pyramid in Asia, where you have one younger person supporting in places like China, is now going to 4. What that does to a majority of the business models in the financial system, what that does to the concept of money and social safety nets. You guys are going to grow up in an environment that's nothing like the environment I grew up in. And so this is why I'm talking about inspiration. Find people that inspire you. That will make you invulnerable to change. That's what I got.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. Very interesting concept that you can, particularly students, can focus on. Find someone to inspire. And I would ask you to start by looking into you. And you will find someone who can inspire you. Najat is a living example of being an entrepreneur. And the reason why you should be inspiring yourself, no government or no country in the world creates amount of jobs to match the number of students passing out of universities. So then what do? You have to be a self-inspiration. He made a very interesting statement. He said, you will be challenged with shortage of opportunity. And that's why entrepreneurship, self-inspiration becomes important. He talked about risk. We fear the failure of risk. I think I'm asking the students to define failure, or rather redefine failure. To me, it's a temporary setback, because failure is a burdensome word. Temporary setback is a self-motivating word. The scoreboard not often say who actually won or how you played the game. But what I take from Dr. Cole's word is that there is nothing in life that's without a risk. We go to sleep at the risk of not waking up in the morning. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Can I now please ask Dr. Girish, come on.
Yes. Able to hear me now?
Your sound is back. Glad to see you there. All right. Over to you,
yes,
sir.
Thank you. Just switched on to my iPad. So to start off, thank you so much, Jain University, for organizing this session. It's a pleasure and an honor to be with such eminent panelists. I think more than the panel discussion, the introductions that were given about all the panelists should inspire a lot of the students. I mean, amazing achievements from all of you. It did inspire me. Thank you so much. So coming back to COVID and the present discussion and opportunities, I come up with a corporate experience, and I will probably give a corporate point of view. I've been working in corporate for all my career, and currently heading the technology center for US multinational in India. We are like 1,500 technology employees working across various different technologies. Now, there are multiple challenges which came through. As Nazit said, or you also said, the short term is the new long term. So now we are used to planning for the whole year and whole couple of years. And suddenly we realized that now we should be planning every month. When this all stuck last March, we thought we'll be back in office in June. Then came April, May, and then we realized that, well, June became September, September became December. We got into that zone of short-term planning and tuning our mind towards how to look at the next month, how to look at immediate things we need to do. We as an organization, as a technology organization, always believed that, or I as a head of the organization always believed that innovation can come when people are together. Well, that was thought process always, and we felt whiteboarding ideas always been great. Now we were forced, and the entire 1,500 people had to work out of home and had to be productive at the same time. So that was an eye opener. Our employees did a great job. I mean, unbelievable. We talk about entrepreneurship and innovation. I mean, I mentor entrepreneurs also apart from my role. So I have close contact with few entrepreneurs, very sharp, very intelligent. I kind of try to push their thought process into my organization, trying to make people think within the corporate world how to be entrepreneur within. Now, while all that has been going on for a few years, I really it had to be COVID and the work from home to see the entrepreneurial spirit in my employees. I'll give a couple of examples, kind of for you to relate. We have a lot of gaming machines in office, and we cannot do our work. A good amount of people cannot do our work without those gaming machines. First thing, when the entire set of people went home, within days, it didn't even take months and weeks. Within days, people came with simulators to simulate the gaming machine on their desktop. So a great part of the work happened through a software simulator simulating the same gaming machine. I mean, some teams took literally 10 working days to come up with things like this, and it was like totally unbelievable for me to see how without push, without process, how did they come up with. So I mean, some of the instances, there are multiple such instances which happened, and these things truly were inspiring and changed my belief on how remote working, about working from office, and various things. So I believe, while COVID has been very harsh on the entire world, and we are now as equal with some you said, it's thrown up a lot more opportunities to us, in organizations there have been a lot more inspirational innovations happening, like a few examples what I gave. Of course, there are like much larger innovative examples outside where people came up with solutions. Even we came up with products for our customers to handle COVID in their entertainment worlds. We came up with new products that opened up new product line, new revenue lines for us. And these happened within 3 months. Within 3 months, our products were out ready to sell. And many customers were buying it to do social distancing, to do a lot of, cleaning up of the systems. And these are all technology solutions came up within few weeks. Earlier, any product development cycle, 3 months would have been just to create a product plan and to think about the product and put all the product strategy together. Here we had a product out within 3 months. So various numerous opportunities came, and I have seen examples outside my organization also. And where there are innovations which have come big or small, there are multiple innovations. I've heard somebody saying this, and it's really inspired me. Never let a crisis go waste. I think the world has done that. We've not let this crisis go waste. We have done. It's very different right now. What we all call it a new normal. But we've seen the situation. We've tried to do the best of the situation. One last thing which I'll tell before I just hand over. One thing which is beyond technology, beyond work, all this crisis has done is it has made us sensitive towards the rest of the society. My responsibility is not only to my organization and my employees and my customers, it also to our society, how we are dealing with the society, because this crisis made us feel that we are so lucky, top 1 or 2% in the world. I mean, there's a whole lot of people who are not so lucky like us, and it's our responsibility. It's not we give charity, it's our responsibility to take care of that. That's something which I've seen across, and that's what the crisis has brought this, what I've seen. Those are my starting points. I mean, we'll continue the discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Girish. Again, very interesting lines that I picked up from your thoughts. I like what you said, is shutdown planning. Where on earth did you come across this in our entire life? Shutdown planning. And you also said, you used the word, what we need to do than what we want. And you also said we are forced to do what we need to do. So we always said what we want, what we need. And I liked you said, don't waste the crisis, because crisis brings catalysts. Don't waste the crisis. So, and if I throw this open to the people who are participating and the panel for the second round of discussion, whatever happened to the SWOT plans countries and companies should have had on 1st of January, and come February, March, all would have been thrown out of the window. True. So the concept of SWOT has to do a SWOT on itself. So this is where the opportunity is here. So moving to our final speaker, sorry, I have kept you waiting, Dr. Kulkarni, and open to you to give your thoughts, and then we'll deliberate a little bit and open the forum for our students.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Bradley. Am I audible clearly? Am I clear? Wonderful. So it's an honor to be part of this panel, and I would like to divide the whole thought process of how we look at the changes due to impact of pandemic in two types of organization. I'm trying to make it simple. One is organizations or companies which are virtual, depending upon virtual aspects of things, say manufacturing to end, while there are companies which are actually based on practically physical existence of things moving up the value chain. Now, any organization or business is existing for moving the things from raw materials to realization. It could be a services or it could be a product. Now, the severe impact that we have seen in last 1 year that has happened is for the ones who are physical, depending upon physical aspects of the things, like manufacturing, take aero, take aspects of ones which actually clearly depends on the physical existence, like education, where we have been believing on physical in person to be with the students and professors being together. Taking the different dimension of being digital, if you see the IT companies, this has been helping them twofold. One is to reinvent themselves, find out the products that they have been talking about to the world. Are they really valid? Are they really working for themselves? Implement them to themselves and bring out that conviction eventually whenever they take it back to the customers. And I have seen this with IT companies, that the products which are actually and services which are actually validated by themselves for their own use got extremely optimized as they go to the customer. Now, one more question I would like to put to ourselves in when pandemic started, there was no business. Everything was under standstill. What was the currency at that point in time? Was it money? Money was not moving. Money was not moving apart from the most required aspects of the life that you required. So last 6 to 8 months, what is that the company should be doing? What is the focus area that one company should have? We have immediately seen that company who wanted to be protecting themselves, I'm talking about the organization structures, they have been cut by around 20% to 90% of their workforces. Now, 20% is companies which are digitally present, 90% which are actually physically, like Aero, you will see that 90% of manpower was cut. The org structure got completely supple, flexible, cut down to the one which is maximum to the requirement. Now, my question again, what was the currency in that case? Currency was definitely about the thought processes, currency about planning for yourself. Actually, I came up with a small acronym that I can quickly put out, called as HATKE. H and HATKE actually in Hindi language in India is actually meaning something called as Hatke. Hatke is actually meaning differentiated, being unique, being one actually not following, questioning the status quo. H stands for health. Health is the most important factor from the individual. So you take in an organization, it starts with you, starts with the leader. Health gets the focus. A for attitude, being positive, being looking at yourself as well as the organization. T, most appropriate use of technology. K for knowledge, reskilling, understanding. Going back, actually, as Dr. Girish said, you have to reinvent yourself, right? You have to reskill yourself. You have to find out whether I know this technology, whether I can do my job as is or not. E for engagement. Engagement, actually, there was a word called as social distancing. I call it, it was supposed to be meant for physical distancing and not social one. Socially, you have to be connected with your relatives, your life, your counterparts, your business partners, your customers. This is something which is Hatke, and organizations have to be started Hatke. There are nuances of where some of the organizations have sailed through successfully. I get an example of IT companies like TCS, who wants to reduce their, who want to start working 75% from home. There is a complete change in their whole way of working. That means that they have got opportunities twofold. One is that their opportunities to get revenue. Projects got up, so their top line or revenue gone up. Their cost got reduced due to this infrastructure changes that they want to actually have in themselves. Overall, you will see that why TCS is the largest IT company in the world. Maybe some of the reasons are lying there. You will see that HCL has benefited where around 600 crores, and this is a good gesture by the companies back to the society. 600 crores have been actually distributed as a bonus to the employees. So this is a wonderful scenario in which you will find a mix of opportunities and challenges. Challenges indeed are avenues for opportunities, and in a nutshell, I will say definitely IT is the way to go. Digital, we were kind of forced by this pandemic, and definitely those ones actually who went digital earlier and going now are definitely ones who are going to be actually winners moving forward. With that, I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you for that thoughts. Again, a few things that I captured is, you made a very interesting comment. I think during lockdown, we were more socially connected. The social media platforms are like inundated. It was physical distancing that was what was recommended. Socially, we were more connected. I'm sure we spoke to all our families. We didn't even know that was existing during the COVID, right? We discovered more family. And also, you said about virtual reality, because COVID has changed not just the way we work or we learn, but it has changed the way we live totally. And as a result, whatever we couldn't imagine in the past now seems doable. That's what has happened. So my take on this is COVID has put us into the future tense. It has moved from present tense to future tense. The world has dramatically amplified the digital connectivity because of COVID. Dramatically. And the scope and the scale and the speed and the frequency of disruption has increased and will increase as we move forward. Because if you look at where the investments are going in, it's all going into digital world, automation, IT. So that's going to enhance the frequency of disruption. And you students, here's an opportunity. The young will be better prepared for this transformation than the old. So that's where the opportunity is. So Dr. Cole is talking about opportunity, and that's where the opportunity. So there we created decentralization, which has happened because of working from home. Leadership roles of organization are going to be much more matrix based, and the present, we don't have to be present. We have realized that to lead the team. Your presence is your omnipresence, your virtual presence, your virtual impact. That is where the way we are working now. So the leadership literacy of the past or current says matrix management and hierarchy. And we are moving from going to the peripheries management. Hierarchies will come and go depending on situation. We were talking about economies of scale. Now we are talking about economies of structures. How well we do with structure will make us more profitable. Because of we are thin, we can spread because of connectivity. So structures will change. Leading from the center has been conventional from American to British styles, but that's going to change because we are going to lead from the edge. That's what the world is going into. And people leading organization is going to be distributed autonomous companies. And that is where the future, in my view, is going to happen. So what do we have to learn? What do we take from this today? Learn to look backward from the future. Go into the future, look backwards, and then when that comes to you, you're ready. So there'll be more voluntary engagement of the unknown, because we have, what I mean by unknown, the fear. What do we fear? We fear the unknown. Now you will find people are looking future. We talked about disruption. We are prepared for the unknown. Long-term, short-term is a new long-term. So we are voluntarily engaging the unknown. So we are embracing the shifting of organizations. Look at the structures that have changed. I mean, people wanted larger tables to work from. They wanted hierarchy. They want the PM to come and serve your tea. What happened to all that? So the entire shape of organizations have shifted. So there will be you and there will not be you. Your presence and absence still get the company going. All of us know that. Girish talked about how they have worked on a virtual environment, how the productivity has increased and how much he has distributed bonus in crisis. So the presence really doesn't matter for productivity. Things have changed. So to activate rather than to motivate. The new norm is going to be more activating people. And that's exactly what we have done in the unknown, than motivating. So that's the new one. And then you're going to talk about energizing, not encouraging. So that's my few thoughts on this. And with that, I will go with a couple of questions from each panelist, and then we will open the forum for the audience. So I'm going to go on the reverse, Sudesh. You talked about virtual reality. And you know, this part of the world, we are in a face-to-face culture, be it education, be it work. We have to go to work. Otherwise we feel, I mean, you know, certain parts of the world, divorce rates have gone up because of lockdown. So there is an element of physical disengagement that is needed as a human being. So in your virtual reality, you talked about the acronym that you mentioned. Out of the acronym, what would be the foundation in the way forward?
Right, that's a good question. So looking at the new reality as virtual reality, digital, as I said, is the way. It is very clear that in the business, if you see whatever elements right from where you actually start on doing what customer wants to what is getting delivered, anything and everything that is possible to be converted into digital form in the form of a workflow that could be generated by a digital system. I am hinting about a complex words like ERP, enterprise resource planning, or CRM, you know, customer relationship management, and so many systems that you can have. Those are the ones, the way to go for any organization to eventually adopt, to become virtual, to become automated, to become predictable, to be able to not requiring to be depending upon the ecosystem and environment, and eventually making it personless to the extent possible, where the individuals are definitely going to be required to build that business process and also business logic of moving this ahead autonomously. I see an advent of artificial intelligence and expert system requiring in this automation also, where some decisions have to be delegated and automated based on the logic that has been followed years together, maybe 20 years, 30 years, where that knowledge could be used for taking those automated decisions. I'm not talking about eliminating those manpower there. Now, the roles are going to be changed for this type of organization. Now, manufacturing unit where daily morning meeting was required. I'm talking about a handheld device where you have the complete view of your plant on your mobile, and you will see that all the alerts are coming. Morning, you just look at exceptions, so manage by exceptions, and make sure that you don't really require to be physically going there. Now, this goes challenging the concept of gemba in Japanese, where in gemba means that you have to be present there. What I mean there, by virtual reality, you can actually go there and visualize what is happening on the ground. Now, so if you see the hotkey concept of hotkey technology comes hugely into action, engagement. Now, whenever we talk about automation, the element of trust, whenever we say that automation of the whole process end to end, there are going to be questions of who has taken what decision. So element of trust and engagement of the individuals who are in the hierarchy of the organization, which is almost crashed to maybe 30%, 40% by decentralization of decisions, and decisions are getting taken, right? I mean, there will be some ambiguity, and humans also take many decisions in ambiguity, but now this is automated. There is nobody to blame and everything to be trusted. So I believe that is the way to go as we move forward, as my perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think it's pretty interesting that we seem to be sinking on the hierarchy factor. It's going to come and go. We are going to create a hierarchy in a particular project and we'll dissolve it and put it elsewhere. Absolutely. Now, that takes you to Girish. I mean, you are one company which has been pretty successful in crisis. And when India was losing jobs, the labor was moving to their hometowns, a massive exodus of labor from cities to villages. What is that you have done to retain productivity, retain employment, retain profitability, and to an extent of distributing large amounts of money as bonus? What should you do, Girish?
Yeah. Well, I cannot. So there are many things which have happened even to retain productivity, and that was the whole goal. And we knew the global revenues will come down. Our customers were shutting down, and revenues were come down. So the only way was to increase our productivity within the same cost. In fact, I cannot claim any part in this. My employees did it on their own, because these were the crises which we were never taught about, neither we had experience in anything in our past career. I mean, we could see so many pockets of innovation coming across when such a thing happened, because we never thought all the 1,500 people will be working from home. So it just happened. It just happened, and we let employees take their own decisions. We did not put process on it. We wanted to make it quick. One thing which I believe in, which I propagate a lot, is innovate fast and fail fast. Failure is okay. So that's I've always been telling my team, saying that don't hesitate to fail, just go ahead and innovate, but stop it if you think that it's not working. Just get on another one. So that is the culture which I have pushed. I mean, lot of the challenges which day-to-day challenges because of our remote working got fixed in a very different ways, much more than what I thought. Coming to the bonuses and all that, as I said, it was to be very sensitive towards the society. So my focus was mainly to ensure that the indirect jobs do not go away. All the security staff, all the housekeeping staff, all the support staff, even though they did not have to come to the office, even though they could not come to the office, my biggest focus was to ensure that they and their families are taken care of. The cab drivers who did not have work to do. So there's a lot of focus went there, and we did multiple things to make sure they have a steady set of income. If cab driver is not taking any trips during the day, probably he or she would not get any revenue. So we put in a system where they get money, even though if we are not utilizing their services, where they are not using their cabs. That's what I propagated a lot to ensure that those can be taken care of. I believe all my 1,500 employees are lucky. They can sit at home with their laptops and earn their full salary. So my focus was completely on the rest, to make sure that they are taken care of, their families and their children are taken care of. So that has been a huge learning for me, and through this crisis, to make sure that it becomes our responsibility than anything else.
Thank you, Girish. I wish the Republicans in the United States were listening to you. They refused to sign the bill of 1.8 trillion of relief to the poor Americans and unemployed Americans. I mean, it leads what you said to what Dr. Cole was talking about. You said employees did it on their own. And Dr. Cole was talking about shortage of opportunity. Now, my question is particularly focusing on our students. When our university system is tailor-making people, instead of shaping minds, we are filling minds. The responsibility of universities and education system is to prepare them for jobs that are not yet there. So going to Dr. Cole's comment about inspiration, ability, and opportunity. Doctor, how do you connect this in a world of education where we are filling minds and not shaping minds?
Well, that's downright controversial.
Doctor, that's the whole purpose of this panel discussion.
So here's the thing about inspiration. I hope that many of you will meet somebody that will inspire you. And because when you're inspired, all the rest of this stuff is just gobbledygook. It all vanishes. You know, if the task is hard or the task is easy, if it takes a long time to do it or it happens quickly, all those things melt away. But if I had to say there was a formula for inspiration, the formula is to fully give yourself to a cause that's larger than you. What you're going to find in life, you know, one of the things I did when I was your age, speaking to the students here, was I decided to read very broadly outside of my own kind of cultural context. So I read the Gita, right? And as a white guy growing up in Idaho in the United States, the Gita was not regular reading, right? And I read the Quran. And I made an effort to study the great texts from all religions, Vedic traditions, and these are the ones from your part of the world. I'd highly encourage you guys to go study the Stoics. Go look at what Marcus Aurelius or Epicurus, go look what the Romans were saying in terms of philosophy of how do you find the meaning of life. And I think two things happen. If you've learned how to live meagerly, stay there. No matter how much money you have, stay meager in your material needs. That will free your mind to find passion. If you get locked into having to wear $10,000 suits and you get locked into the idea that your self-worth is a function of the kind of watch you wear or the car you drive, you are lost forever. Your life will mean very little in retrospect. I promise you this. So if you want to find inspiration, find an idea that you really care about and throw yourself at it with complete and utter reckless abandonment. And it will work out, but it won't work out in the way you think it will. This is that thing that used to drive me crazy when I was at MIT. All these professionals would come on and they would tell me how smart they were and how their life all worked out and how they knew in advance it would work out the way that it did. And what they weren't actually what I found later in life that they were all lying to me, and it was their own insecure egos. They had to tell you why it all worked out for them, and they couldn't admit the massive amount of luck that all this takes. They couldn't admit that this is actually a stochastic process. You can do everything perfect and it won't work sometimes. So if you get used to not living meagerly, and you can be happy living meagerly, and you can be happy with books and philosophy and music and relationships and health, you will find that your life is full of purpose and meaning. And then the rest of it will work out. It won't work out every time. In fact, the only people that assess risk accurately are the clinically depressed. The reality is almost nothing works. I can't even tell you guys how many failed businesses I've started. If I would have told you 15 years, if I was talking to myself today, 15 years ago, and I was to say, hey, I was going to start this business, kill myself, believe in it, and then it was going to fail, but it wasn't going to fail quickly. It was going to bleed me for a long time. And it was going to make me look like a liar to a lot of people I cared about, even though I did nothing wrong. And then the next one was going to fail. And then the next one was going to fail. And then the next one was going to fail. And then one hit, and you made enough money to cover all your past sins. See, people don't talk about all of the hard parts of life. They only talk about the easy parts because it makes them look somehow prophetic. But life is, in fact, very hard. And I think the Stoics, I would encourage all of you to go read the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. I think, or the letters of Seneca. It's outside of your, it's remarkably close to what Arjuna was saying saying in the Gita, right? When I think it was Krishna was talking to Arjuna in the very beginning of the Gita. It's remarkably similar, but from a totally different time period. And I think that'll help you guys a lot to prepare for the future. Because what I'll tell you today is you haven't seen anything yet in terms of pace of change. Like, I don't want to get into what are the causes of global warming, whether it's anthropomorphic or what's caused. That's not the point. But the climate is changing, and the climates have changed in the past, and it's changing massively. That's going to cause incredible social disruption. You know, when Elon Musk says that machines won't do most things better, they'll do everything better, he's not kidding. And that's going to be in your lifetimes, guys. So if you don't develop a flexibility of thought, and you don't study the ancients, you will be lost. And you're going to get real lost in materialism. That's the biggest one. The biggest one that loses young minds is a fear of failure because of an over-association of materialism. But I'll stop there because this is more business and I'm getting into spirituality.
Dr. Paul, it was amazing. And I thought it was quite deep, what young people need to understand. Because in a world where knowledge and information is available at their fingertips, what do we teach our students? What should students learn? And you brought a very valid point about purpose. I mean, the Buddhist doctrine says to become a human, you need to be going through a process of filtering. I suppose it is a similar thing in Hinduism as well. And you become a human. And students of Jain University, there's a reason why you are born in India. The reason why, there's a logic why you are in this conference. For what Dr. Cole said, ask what your why is. Simon Sinek wrote a book saying, find your why. So end of this conference, if we can get your thinking triggered to ask, what's my why? Then I think we have all done justice to your time. A beautiful piece, Dr. Paul. Thank you very much for inspiring all of us. I'm going to move to Professor Sudesh. Having heard the past couple of speakers about inspiration, imagination, change, what is your biggest fear in the future?
Yeah, I get the hardest question. Okay.
Because you are the best.
Actually, the fear of not able to cope with the change, because the change is happening very fast. If you look at it, the change has happened in less than 10 months, where someone who do not even know how to use his, his gadgets properly, in the sense of his, handphone today, relies 100% on his handphone. So this is one example that you can see. I think many people would have never heard of Zoom or Google Meet or whatsoever, but today 100% relies on this. Like, for example, I think earlier they were talking about how they manage their teams remotely and so on. See, there are softwares like Monday.com, which, people just put in to show that what is their percentage of people doing their work, how they are at home. And it also, another thing is, it is the inability for certain organizations to change their mentality, especially on the top management. If you look at it, because we're so, regardless how you say the organization structure is, most of the time we are very centralized. And the decentralization, can the organization actually accept the decentralization? And all this happens so fast. And the what do you call that, the capacity of someone to actually accept this kind of things, it's a little bit more tough, because you might be running this business for the past 30 years, or like, for example, Binary has been there for the past 36 years. And we are when the change happened, and we are all looking at platforms, things like which is the best platform to actually do teaching. And then we realized that we have a problem, time zone problem, where we have students from 60 countries, and we cannot actually give everyone at the same time. So we were having this kind of issues and so on. And how do you actually cope? But good things about this is that the learning experience is something that you need to do very fast. You have the IR 4.0 now, which is suddenly become very important, so that you can remotely do your work. So all those things are the fear. But if you ask me personally, this is the the most fearful is inability to cope with whatever which is changing. Yeah, so that's it.
Thank you for that. You gave a fantastic answer for that difficult question, if you thought so. Thanks, Professor. And coming back to Najat, again, my personal perspective, Najat, is the world post-COVID is looking very inward. Countries have become very self-centered because their survival has been the priority because of recession. People are even questioning whether globalization has come to an end. Now, Africa has become, or fast becoming, a power continent. With, most of the countries are in the range of developing nations or fast developing economies as per the World Bank prediction. Now, you've been in that part of the world, in North African, sub-Saharan region. Where do you see the opportunities lying for countries like Libya, Iran, Iraq? Because there is very resourceful pieces of land and very aspiring or very knowledge-thirsty population in that part of the world who have been deprived of knowledge. What would be your response in terms of opportunities?
I would like to pick up on few things, listening to the panelists, and then I will dive into exactly answering your question. Right now, I think economy of structure is the heart of the game, right? So we have to reconsider everything that we learned through our experience at universities, and reinvent what we are, what we want to do, where is our purpose. And I think defining the purpose is essential for every single not only entrepreneurs, but at the same time for big corporations and small corporations. So basically, defining the purpose is very, very important. And being agile. Agility is truly one of the key words that I always, focus on, because we are witnessing right now, times of challenges, and we need to be agile. And agility is at the heart of being, part of a restructuring system. Going to globalization, I don't believe that globalization has ended. On the contrary, globalization is right now at the most extreme, openness of globalization, but in a new form. So it's the form that has changed, but not the heart of globalization. Look at us, right? So basically, right now, I'm sitting in Dubai. You are, spread across India, Singapore. So basically, we are at the heart of globalization. But the form has changed. So basically, the structure of how we perceive globalization is changing, right? And we're adapting to it. Now, tapping into markets that are not the usual markets to tap into, emerging markets, where I can see the opportunity is the talent, the people. We always go back to the people. And people are essential. And because globalization right now is happening in a new form, this is where Libya, Iran, and I've been to Libya, I've been to Iran, I've been to Morocco, Tunisia, different countries. Tapping into the talent and knowledge there, but acquiring knowledge has changed completely. So basically, it's not what we actually take at university. Going back to what Cole has said, right? Listening to all the different speakers, our teachers, and all of that. Yes, they always present the good side. They don't present the heartache, the challenges, the fear, constant breaking the fear. And, a lot of them, they don't actually break the fear factor, right? So basically, the knowledge of the people and the talent that are rising in all these emerging markets, I think this is where the real opportunity is. Tapping into the people, okay? Industry and digital, awakening, digital transformation, it is happening. There is no escape from it. But tapping into the right talent, and talent that is spread across so many different geographical countries, and the footprint has become, wow, so spread, amazing, right? So I can tap into someone who is actually living in Somalia, right? And have the best talent ever. I can go to Chile and have someone work with me. I can go to India, and a lot of companies are actually tapping into the Indian talent. So basically, talent right now is at the heart of the new economy of structure. And it doesn't have to be pyramidal. It is becoming flat, absolutely flat.
Beautiful explanation. Thank you very much for that. And see, it's all structures are like amoeba now. It's going to take the shape of the situation. And that's what you said by the dynamics of structure, or the scale of structure. Beautiful explanation. And I like the word you brought in, agility. And on Friday, we are having our convocation. Guess what the theme is? From fragility to agility. And we are saying the world economy is fragile. How do you graduates make it agile? So that's perfect timing. So thank you very much for the panelists for very, very valuable insights that have been shared. Dr. Ani, how do you want me to handle the questions? Is somebody going to raise questions, or somebody going to read the questions from the chat box?
Yes, sir. We will read out the questions for the speakers.
So we have about 10 minutes for question time, audience.
Yes, sir. We can limit it to 10 minutes.
If somebody can read it out, and if you can direct the question,
sure, sir.
Then it will be very precise and effective. Thank you.
Yes. So the participants can now ask their questions in the chat box. The link for the feedback form will be sent in the chat box. You are requested to fill it and submit it by the end of the session. So the chat option is able now. You can post your questions in the chat box.
The questions can be very specific, short, and aimed at the speaker. It'll be much, much easier for us to take it. Thank you.
The participants can post their questions in the chat box. Sir, there is one question from Venkatesh Pratap. What impact will COVID-19 have on corporate earnings? He asks, what impact will COVID-19 have on corporate earnings?
Yeah, maybe can I take that?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Girish, go ahead.
There has been already both a positive and negative impact, depending on which industry you are in. We are in. So we are in the entertainment space, so we are having a negative impact. Somebody is in there in the pharma space, probably will have a very positive impact. Even in the spaces somewhere, if you are in tourism, travel, we know that there has been significant negative impact. It is an opportunity right now for every single industry, negative or positive, to make the best use of this crisis. I mean, even us, who I can probably tell the numbers. We are a probably $3.5 billion company. Our revenues came down significantly when it was announced a few days back to the street. So, but we did come up with new revenue lines in this crisis, which we probably would not have. So, this is an opportunity, entrepreneurial opportunity for companies as well as people outside to see where you can design a new product, create a new product, and create more jobs and opportunities.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have next question from Dr. Ajay. This is posted to Mr. Cole, so they expect you to answer, sir. What will be your suggestions for new entrepreneur or students thinking to start their startup?
There's a lot of things. So in terms of target selection, pick a problem you care about making better and stick with the problem. You know, Muhammad Ali is famous for saying that the realer you get, the more unreal the world becomes. So the more you focus on solving a real problem for real people that they actually have, and the more you don't get lost in how much VC money can I raise and what do all the Gardner reports say, and the more you focus on a real problem, the better you'll be as a starting point to starting a company. The second thing I would say is that you don't need a lot of people when you start a company, but you do need smart people. So when you go to start a company, find really smart people to work with you. And I guess the third thing that I would say is it may seem, it seems impossible sitting in as a student at a desk, having sat with so much structure around you your entire life. It's really hard to comprehend how effective you can be and how much power you actually have to make the world mold into your own vision. What you haven't seen yet is how crazy the corporate world actually is. You haven't seen how much. There's a couple of concepts that I would dig into. One's called local optimization. So much of the corporate world is about a bunch of people not rowing their boat in the same direction. So large organizations where half are rowing in one way and the other half are rowing the other. If the organization was all rowing in the same boat in the same way, startups wouldn't exist. But they're not. But these big corporations don't move that way. And so that creates opportunities for smart young people to sit down and engage in first principled thinking. How should this problem be solved? I know nothing, so I'm not encumbered by the dharma of my organization. So I can now build it as it should be built. That is an incredibly powerful gift you've been given, and you don't even know you have it yet. So start with first principle thinking, work with really smart people, and don't just hire people. So you don't need a lot of people, but you need smart people. And then stick with a real problem that you care about. If you do those things, you will not be the loser, no matter the outcome of the startup, because capitalism is very inefficient and it sucks, but it's the best system that humanity has been able to come up with, despite all of that. And over the long run, people that solve real problems do well. I know it doesn't always feel like that, and there's a lot. We're in an age now where it's all get rich quick and social media, Instagram, near-term gratification. But you can't build a meaningful life that way. You build a meaningful life by throwing yourself into a problem larger than yourself and spending the effort to become an expert in it. And then in doing that, the rest will work out. It'll be hard. You'll fail. You'll come very close to failing a lot. But if you stick with it, startups really don't fail. The entrepreneur quits. That's what I've seen over and over and over. If you don't quit and you stick with it, you'll find a way. It won't be the way that you thought when you started, that's for sure, but you'll find a way. So that's what I would say.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cole, for that response. We have next question from Dr. Rajat Gera. Is asking lateral structures. What are the challenges for performance measurement or the employee motivation in this COVID situation? And there's one more question which is surrounding with this in terms of finance risk. It's about the challenges for performance measurement or employee motivation and the financial risk in this COVID situation around the world.
Can I take that question?
Yes, yes.
See, what is performance in today's context? That is what we need to be looking at, right? For us, performance is enhancing profit, balance sheet beefing, or optimizing potential. So often performances are measured on target set, numeric target set, and then we call ourselves performing. In a fat organizations, when you are in a different world, when the structure dynamics has changed, what is performing is the ability to collaborate, the ability to withstand pressure, to sustain. Because in a crisis, there are 3 stages. 1 is to survive. 2 is to revive. 3 is to thrive. You cannot break the sequence. If you try to thrive prior to survival, because we are trying to catch up of what we have lost in the last 18 months due to COVID, we are going to collapse. So what do you measure as performance is the question you need to ask. How do you define performance today? Do you work, what do you bring out? Do you bring out imagination? Do you bring out intelligence? Do you take ownership? Do you resolve problems? Do you collaborate with people? To me, that's the performance in a survival situation. When you go to revive is when you see the opportunity to skill match. When you go to the thrive situation is where you go beyond and see that is where we are going. So you will have a challenge. It looks a challenge because we are trying to continue what we did. That is why we are saying, how do I measure performance when the guys are not in office? So you have to start afresh and redefine what is performance in today's context. To me, performance is getting everybody's potential up. That is what is needed. We talked about imagination. We talked about opportunity. We talked about innovation. So redefine performance first. Then appraisal will be easier. I'll allow anyone else to add on.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that response. We have a next question from Mr. Aditya Vijay. Is asking, is there a possibility to modernize the ancient methods in the present day and also in the future?
Yeah, maybe I can take that.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, answer is simple. It's called automation. and this is continuous, and it has to be done. And the world keeps automating things. What we have been doing 10 years back probably is been done by certain computers right now, and what we are doing today probably next year or year after next will be done by computers. So that's automation at various scale. Automation is probably, I'm putting it as a very loose word. It could be something in the Tesla car factory, or it could be something in our offices. So, and that's another opportunity as well. Every single process, every single activity we do, there's a scope to automate it and do it better, do it very predictable. So yeah, in simple words, say yes, answer is yes.
Dr. Ani, just add on to you. What COVID has done to all of us globally has brought us back to basics. I wonder what is ancient here. Right, we all gone back to organic food. We are all gone back to knowing what is need and what is want. We have learned to optimize natural resources without hurting the earth. So I think we have gone around the circle of life, and nature has hit the reset button. So what we call ancient, to me, could be a new normal, to go back to basics, not to hate. We talked about global warming. We are moving towards organic food. We don't want to hurt the earth because we have only that much of land. That much of land. And how do we manage that? So there's more and more consciousness that is growing, which was there in the ancient times. The ancient forefathers never hurt the earth. They had no greed. They consumed what was needed. And somebody talked about materialism. We measure our wealth, our value based on materialism. So we are going to neutralism and naturalism. And that was what was existing in the ancient times. And I think we are taking the circle of life.
Okay.
If I may add a little bit
Yes,
to that,
yes,
where a kind of cross-industry pollination is happening is with the things that we've learned from, say, manufacturing industry, called as lean. Whatever is required, what is the maximum thing that you need to have, which customer will pay, otherwise everything is waste. So we have gone to the basic, as you rightly pointed out, that we are not keeping anything which is not required. It's only the value add elements that we are going to keep to make sure that we deliver that value from any kind of process that you have. And that's the basic new normal, I would say.
Okay. So we have next question from Dr. Ramakrishna. He's asking, what is the effect on humans on mediated communication over technology convergence at present? That is it more positive or having a negative impact in terms of the communication over technology?
Maybe I will take that.
Yeah.
Okay, I would say it's both. There is a positive impact and there's also a negative impact being using technology as a mediator. The positive side of it is that many businesses can be done in instants. Like, for example, you do not need to fly 18 hours to a country and then, get tired, wait for the next meeting and so on. Whereas you can actually have 8 meetings to 6 meetings in a day, in any part of the world. So this is one part of the advantages or the positive part of it. The negative part of it, on the other hand, actually looks at your families, right? Or the earlier, I think Mr. Kulkarni talked about socializing. You don't have the social feel. You don't have the face-to-face feel when you are communicating, because even though it's face-to-face, but the thing that you get in between these two people is not there. So that's the only part which is a negative, if you ask me personally. Yeah.
If I may just add to that point, as we become more digital, we are actually talking to people. We have back-to-back meetings, and we are actually in a shell. We create a virtual cell around us, and though we thinking that we are connected, we are kind of getting slowly into a solitude. Whether that is beneficial or not, unless we really make some effort to socialize ourselves by the ways that we have. But that is where actually our work-life balance is getting impacted severely, where there is no boundary for time of office time, and you tend to actually accept meetings, you tend to go online, and that's definitely going to have an impact, which is not so positive.
Okay, so that's the end of our query section, sir. So it was a great and wonderful session with deliberations on the different dimensions of the topic of discussion today in the panel. And I deem it my privilege to thank and extend a heartfelt gratitude to the moderator, Mr. Bradley Emerson, Chief Executive Officer, Imperial Institute of Higher Education, Colombo, Sri Lanka. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Girish Kamath, Vice President and Managing Director, India, Scientific Games, Bangalore, India. Thank you, sir. Mr. Shirish Kulkarni, Founder and CEO at Stota Consultech, Pune, India. Thank you, sir. Ms. Najat Riz, Co-Founder, AQR MENA and Al Azima, UAE. Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Sudesh Prabhakaran, Professor, Binary University, Malaysia. Thank you, sir. Mr. Cole Serusek, Co-Founder and CEO, DocDoc, Singapore. Thank you, sir. Now I would request you all to switch on your videos for the photography. The link for the feedback form will be sent in the chat box. You're requested to fill it and submit it by the end of the session. Participants will receive the certificate within 15 days of the conference. Kindly switch on your video so that we can take a picture with the panel. With the panel members, we can take the picture. The feedback link is posted in the chat box. Kindly fill it. So the video option is enabled.
Participants and paper presentators are requested to join the technical session, research paper presentations by 12:15 p.m. with the respective tracks. The Zoom links for the same is available in the track sheet. Please join for the valedictory session at 3:15 p.m. The best paper will be announced in the same session.
Thank you so much to all the panel speakers and the moderator. It was great having you in our conference.
Thank
I
you.
request all the participants to fill in the feedback form.
Okay, I gotta go.
Thanks to all the participants, the HODs, directors of different schools, and heads of different institutions, participants and delegates from different organizations for joining the panel discussion and the inaugural of the conference. Kindly fill in the feedback form so that you'll be getting the certificate. The certificate will be issued within 15 days of the conference. Kindly join the technical session by 12:50 with the respective Zoom links, which is sent to you through email. And by 3:15, you are requested to join the valedictory session of the conference, wherein we are going to announce the best paper awards in the valedictory session. Thank you so much to all. Now we are breaking for lunch. By 12:50, the participants can join the technical sessions through this